Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. Welcome to Douglas Now Live. I am Robert Preston Jr. We are, of course, live in our DouglasNow.com studios here on West Walker Street in Douglas. If today is the 11th of February and it's a Wednesday, then that means that we have a Friday the 13th this month. And those of you who have been listening to me for a while and followed what we do here understand that Friday the 13th make me a little bit nervous. I'm one of those, I like to say I'm not superstitious, I'm just a little stitious. And Friday the 13th are days that I don't change what I'm doing. I don't stay in the house and not come out or anything like that, but I am very careful about what I do, and I think about things a little more carefully, and I try not to take any unnecessary chances when on Friday the 13th. So yes, we do have a Friday the 13th here this month. So in 2 more days. And another question you may be asking yourself as we go through this, when we started doing these videos, I did not have to wear glasses. Now I have to wear readers. And you might be asking yourself 2 questions. 1, are these glasses purple? And 2, if they are purple, do they also happen to be women's glasses? And the answer to both of those questions is a resounding yes. This is what happens when you go to buy glasses and you don't have a pair of glasses on and you're in a hurry, so you run up and you grab a pair and then move on. I went to Walmart a few weeks ago and I just saw this pair of glasses and I was in a bit of a rush. I grabbed them. I didn't think they looked that bad. I got home and I realized, you know what? These, 1, are purple and 2, they're women's glasses, but I'm a cheapskate. So I do wear them regardless. And I have done a good job, I think, because I've had these glasses for the last several Douglas Now Lives that we've done, but I've always had another pair of glasses in my bag. And today, I did not have that pair. So, yes, we're wearing women's glasses. Purple. Women's purple glasses tonight. Couple of things I want to get to. First of all, it is sports season. Again, we have a lot of sports going on. Baseball season has started. South Georgia State College is playing baseball now for a week or 2. Monday night, the Coffee Trojans started playing baseball. They are 1-2 on the season. I picture here Gavin McElroy hitting a home run last night against the Camden County Wildcats. The Trojans went down to Moultrie and played Colquitt County on Monday. And Gavin, again pictured here, had a phenomenal game, got a couple hits. He also pitched very well. I believe he was 3 for 3 at the plate. And he had a no-hitter going into the 7th inning. And that's when the wheels came off a little bit down in Colquitt County. And leadoff batter singled, moved to second on a wild pitch. And then guy hit a home run, a walk-off home run to win 2-1. On a positive note, though, Colquitt County's a really good team. They're really good year in and year out. And Gavin shut them down for 6 innings. And, we just didn't have a lot of offense behind us. You've really got to pitch. You have no margin for error if you're only going to score 1 run. So there were a lot of positives that came out of that game. Turned around yesterday. We played Camden County here in the home opener. And things didn't get off to a very good start. We ended up down 4-0 at the, in the top of the first. And then we came in the bottom of the inning and scored 11 runs. Gavin hit a home run. This is his home run swing here. Ben Fussell led the game off with a home run. We ended up scoring 11 runs in the first inning, went on to win 15-7. Today, the Glen Academy Red Terrors came to town, and things didn't go particularly well for us this afternoon. We lost 5-2, but Reed Harden hit a home run in the 6th inning today as well. So, again, the Trojans are playing a tough schedule early on. Glen Academy really good. All those teams over in that area are good. Colquitt County, really good. We're going to play some tough teams in our non-region schedule. And Coffee's got a chance to make some noise here and quite possibly get away with a home field advantage in the playoffs. You know, you think the favorite for the number 1 seed has got to be Houston County. I mean, they've been on a pretty remarkable run in baseball the last few years. And until somebody knocks them off, they're going to be the team to beat, and they're going to be the presumptive number 1 seed headed into the playoffs. They're not only, haven't only been one of the best teams in our region, they've been one of the best teams in the state. But this team is coming together really, really well. We're now in 2nd year under head coach Scott Grove, and I think you're going to see some kids begin to find their stride. We got a pretty good pitching staff, and I think things are going to come together very, very nicely. Also, in addition to basketball, we have South Georgia State College softball, South Georgia State College basketball, and CCA and Coffee High finishing up their seasons. Region tournaments begin tomorrow for both schools. Now, CCA has to travel up to Bruton Parker to play their region tournament up there. Coffee, meanwhile, plays here. We are hosting the region tournament. The boys are 17-9 overall, 5-5 in the region, and going in as the number 3 seed. The girls are 23-2 overall, a perfect 10-0 in the region, and of course are the number 1 seed. Now, you're going to have to get tickets if you want to go out there and watch those games, and we're going to put a link up for ticket information so you can go to those games if you would like to. But again, region tournament here for Coffee High School, and these kids on both the men's and women's teams have played some really good basketball this year, and the girls in particular, a perfect 10-0 region record. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. But there's going to be a lot of sports coming on. If you don't like sports news or sports, I apologize, but we're going to have a lot of sports stories here as we have these overlapping seasons. Basketball will be over with soon, but then CCA baseball is going to pick up, and we're going to get into soccer. And of course, we're going to be watching the Atkinson County Rebels soccer team this year. They've been a power the last few years as well. No reason to think that's going to be any different. So we're going to have a lot of sports that we're going to be covering. So if you like sports, you're going to have a lot of fun. If you don't like sports, well, there's going to be a lot of stories to ignore. State Senate District 19 election. We reported a few weeks ago that Chief Judge in the Waycross Judicial Circuit, Dwayne Gillis, was resigning effective February the 5th, which was last week. It happened in a hurry. It was a quick announcement. It was an abrupt end, and people were asking what was going on. Of course, the first thing people were thinking of, is Judge Gillis sick? Is there some type of illness? No, not at all. What is afoot is that Judge Gillis, the former Judge Gillis now, is throwing his hat into the State Senate District 19 election. Now, Blake Tillery is the senator for District 19 right now, but Tillery is running for lieutenant governor, so he will not be running for a seat. That's going to leave that particular spot vacant. So there are going to be several people who will ultimately qualify for that. All right, so this is not something that's just going to happen here, and there are at least 2 other candidates in there. Judge Gillis running as a Republican. Then I'm sure there will be some Democratic opposition as well. So you're going to have to get through a primary, more than likely a runoff, and then a general election in November. Now, speaking of the election, here are some dates and qualifying information for the 2026 local elections. Now, qualifying is the same for the state elections, but the state elections, you do not qualify in Coffee County. I want to say that to qualify for the state offices, you have to go to Atlanta. All right. I know you don't do it here, but there are some local elections on the ballot this year. Any special election will take place on March 17th, with the runoff taking place on April 14th. We do not have any local special elections, so that does not apply to us. But in some counties, In some counties, it does. The primary election will take place on May 19th with a runoff, if necessary, on June 16th. The general election will then take place on November 3rd with a runoff, should there be a need for one, on December 1st. These are the local elections that are up. You've got County Commissioner District 1. That's a partisan election. George McIver is the incumbent. Now, again, George just won or didn't win an election. He went in unopposed to fill the unexpired term for Oscar Polk, who passed away in the summer, but he's going to have to run again here this year. County Commissioner District 3, that's also a partisan election. A.J. Dovers, County Commission Chairman, is the incumbent, so A.J. is going to have to run for re-election. Board of Education District 1, Leola Johnson is the incumbent. That's a nonpartisan election. Board of Education District 2, Board of Education District 4. In District 2, you've got Jesse Jowers, the incumbent, and Brian Preston in District 4. The solicitor is also up. That is a partisan election. Jared Roberts is the incumbent. So those are the countywide local elections. In addition to that, you will have the state elections. Okay, you've got governor, lieutenant governor, you've got a bunch of stuff out there. Okay, Secretary of State, all kinds of stuff. Right, but the qualifying period is the same. And the qualifying period begins Monday, March 2nd at 9 a.m. and it runs through Friday, March 6th at noon. Again, at noon. If you go in at 12:01 to qualify, they're not going to allow you to do so. So it is Monday, March 2nd at 9 a.m. through Friday, March 6th at noon. Qualifying for local elections takes place at the Coffee County Elections Office, which is 224 West Ashley Street, Suite A. That is the new courthouse annex building. If you're running for state office, such as Judge Gillis here, the former Judge Gillis, let me say that, you will have to qualify outside of Coffee County. Judges, for example, if Judge Gillis was running for re-election, he would have to go to Tifton to qualify. So depending upon what race it is, you may have different locations to qualify. Qualifying fees, if you want to run for county commissioner, it is $127.17. Board of Education, $303.19. And solicitor, $2,058.82. The reason there's such a variable with how much those qualifying fees are. Qualifying fees are based on the salary of the particular office. So Judge Gillis, the former Judge Gillis, running for Senate District 19. Now, if you don't follow these things and you don't pay attention to how our Senate districts are, you may think that because you live in Coffee County, you automatically will be able to vote for Dwayne Gillis, should you desire to. And that is not correct. For example, I live in Coffee County, I cannot vote for Dwayne. He is not in my district. Now, this is District 19. All right. And you can see that District 19 is up here, Milan, Alamo, Mount Vernon, almost up here to I-16, just below Oak Park, the Oak Park on I-16, not the Oak Park in Coffee County. And then comes over here almost to Evans County, right below Metter, runs down through Reedsville. You got Ludowici, Jessup, Baxley, Alma, of course, Nichols, and you get down here pretty close to Pearson. So it's a large district. Now, for the most part, this is not 100% accurate, but for the most part, 441 is the district line. Okay, you got 441 here. All right. So anything over here on this side is District 13. Cardin Summers from Cordele is the state senator in District 13. So if you live west of 441, for the most part, Cardin Summers is your senator. If you live east of 441, you're in District 19, which right now, again, is Blake Tillery. Now, I say that, and then if you look right here, the district line deviates off of 441 and jogs back to the east. Actually, it cuts a little bit to the southeast. Then it comes up through here, all right, and actually heads up, a pretty good ways to the east, up here to the river. Then it cuts back through the west. It carves out Broxton, Pridgeon, because 441 runs here. This is 441 right here. So if you live in this area, still to the east of 441, you are going to be in Cardin Summers' district. And I thought it was kind of odd because my brother lives in Huffer, and he told me the last time that we had an election, last time he could vote, that he was not in District 19. And I thought that was a little bit unusual. I was thinking that 441 was, in fact, sort of the line of demarcation, but it's not. It gets off of 441 and goes kind of around to 221. So 441 is here. If you live in this patch, east of 441, then you will not be able to vote in the District 19 election. So why do we end up with a split district? Tyler Harper was our senator. Coffee County was in one district. When Tyler stepped down to run for agriculture commissioner, which he won, it was in a reapportionment year. And a lot of times what happens is if someone, an incumbent, decides not to run during in a reapportionment year, they will go ahead and split the district. All right. The party in power will split it if they so desire. And that's what happened. When Mr. Harper decided that he was going to run for ag commissioner, it was also the same year that districts were being reapportioned, and they took the opportunity to split those. So instead of having Coffee County in one Senate district, we are now split in two. We're also split in terms of House districts. We have two state representatives here. One is Angie Osteen. Now she's got most of Coffee County, but then you have a small sliver down here. All right, down here, that goes into Atkinson County and into Ware County, and I'm actually in that district. So Ms. Osteen is not my representative. I am represented by James Burchett, an attorney in Ware County. So Coffee County is split two ways, split in terms of Senate district and also in terms of House district. Now, what does all this mean? It means that just because you live in Coffee County, you may not get to vote in the Senate District 19 election. You will find out. If you don't know where you are right now, if this map doesn't help you, and it's not very detailed, but if it doesn't help you, when you go vote, the card that you get to put in the machine to vote will tell you who your senator is. And if it comes up as, an open seat with Dwayne Gillis's name and several other names as they qualify and announce, then you're in 19. If you see, and I don't know if Cardin is up or not this year. I can't remember. But anyway, you'll find out when you go vote. But here, this is the map. So, I want people to understand, I got to thinking about it last night after we posted Mr. Gillis's announcement, that people might think that just because they live in Coffee County, they vote in that election. And that's not the case. All right. We're split kind of in two. So, like I said, I am an example of that. I am not in District 19. If you live in Pridgeon up that area, you're not in District 19. If you live kind of along the 221 corridor, a little bit east there around Huffer, maybe up even into West Green, you're probably not in District 19. So you'll have to double check and, just to make sure. But, this is the map. It's a big district. And listen, you don't take into account down here in rural Georgia how far our senators have to travel, because districts are based on population. So you get in the Atlanta area, you've got more people concentrated. You've got more districts. They're smaller. It's not as difficult to represent those districts. But think about this. because whoever wins the seat, let's say it's a Tuesday and you're not in session, and you've got the Rotary Club in Jessup wants you to speak at noon, and the Kiwanis Club in Reedsville wants you to speak at 6, and then at 7:30 over here in Lumber City, there's a woman's club meeting and they want you to meet them. I mean, you look at how far you've got to travel. That's a big distance, and it's a lot of work, and it's not easy. So yeah, it's a big undertaking, and it's a really, really big district. So keep that in mind as the election nears. But again, qualifying, if you live in County Commission District 1, District 3, or school board districts 1, 2, and 4, you're up. And, the solicitor is up as well. And again, qualifying begins on March 2nd at 9 a.m. and goes through Friday, March 6th at noon. That's not very far away. That's just a couple of weeks away. And that's why Mr. Gillis had to resign the bench as quickly as he did. All right. He had to, because you can't run for office. You can't announce that you're running for office. You can't raise money. You can't do any of that. You can't campaign if you're on the bench. There are some very strict laws about that. You're getting a lot of trouble for that. So before he could do anything and to organize his campaign and file the papers that need to be filed to get ready to qualify and all that stuff, he had to step down from the bench. That's why it was so quick, and it was abrupt, but that's the reason why. So this is also a developing story that we will follow as we move toward the actual election. Now, this is for the outdoorsman, and I thought this was worth mentioning because it's a fascinating story. But Milo Hansen, pictured here with the world record typical whitetail deer, died a couple of days ago. This record has stood since 1993. Mr. Hansen, who lived in, I think I'm saying this right, Biggar, B-I-G-G-A-R, Biggar, Saskatchewan, shot the deer again. 1993, November 1993, and this deer has stood the test of time. All right, it is what I think around 213 or so inches, 213 and 5/8 inches. World record typical. Now, this is not the non-typical world record. If you go look at the hole in the horn buck, some of these others that have all the points and the knobs and all the other stuff out there, okay, those score higher. You've got some of those way up over 300 inches. But as far as a typical goes, and this deer was not that old, it kind of hit his sweet spot is what they said. Deer's about 4.5 years old, and he hadn't had time to get old enough to where he started getting some abnormalities or deformities on his rack that would take away from the score. So his rack hit his prime, and Mr. Hansen saw him and was able to put a good shot on him. Listen, there's not a big story to it. This is not one of those tales where he patterned the deer for years. People had seen him, and some people had shot at him, but they hadn't been able to hit him. They knew he was a big deer. And back in 1993, he didn't have all the coverage that you've got now. Nobody was quite as interested in this stuff. He didn't have everybody filming their hunts on YouTube and Facebook and everything else. But they knew there was a big deer around, and they were doing a drive that morning. I mean, again, it's not like they patterned it and you didn't have trail cameras back then, and you're getting out there and working. They had seen some sheds, so they knew there was a big deer out there, but they didn't know exactly how big it was. And in the morning there in 1993, they were doing a drive. He saw it, shot him with a 308. It was maybe a Model 88 lever action 308. And again, one of the great debates, and this debate goes on and on and on. What's the best caliber for deer hunting? And you can break it down into all the different ballistics, and you can shoot what you want to shoot. But when you get down to it, it's hard to beat a 308, 30-06, 270. All right. There are a lot of boutique calibers, that people come up with. And, there's some interesting things out there. There's some calibers you don't see very often, 280s and things like that, But there's a couple of them. And you can, again, analyze the ballistics all you want to try to come up with the best. All right? 308, 30-06, 270. No. I hope nobody gets in the comments and says 6.5 Creedmoor. Oh, my Lord. No. I'm not a Creedmoor fan. Not one at all. Stick with the basics. And a 308 killed the biggest buck and it stood 30 years. Look at this. Just a mainframe, 6x6, 12 point. Stood for however long it's been. Decades. Nobody's killed one bigger. 213 and 5/8 inches. But Mr. Hanson passed away this week. Did not see a cause of death, did not see an age, but he died holding the record, the existing record for the largest typical deer killed in the world. And again, it wasn't a very heavy deer. It wasn't like the thing weighed 300 pounds. It wasn't a huge deer. It wasn't a huge body deer. It wasn't an old deer. It's just one of those things where Mr. Hanson and this deer ended up in the right place at the right time. Unless you're the deer, then it was the right place at the wrong place, or the wrong place at the wrong time. But anyway, Milo Hanson passed away this week. That's a phenomenal deer. I mean, it really, really is. Deer season just ended here in Coffee County. I got to do a little deer hunting this year. Did not go as much as I wanted to. Saw some deer. Certainly did not see anything like that. And as we take a look at our tower cam, of course, it's too dark to see a deer, but there are deer behind the building here. And I have pictures. There are a couple of decent little bucks back there, but nothing, obviously, that is going to challenge that. I actually saw one of those deer a week or so ago running across the road over here by Touchton Woods. I'm scared to death when I was going to get hit. I put a camera up back there, and we've got pictures of them. There's about 3 really nice ones back there. And one of them darted in front of me. We got a nice little 6-point back here. He jumped out in front of me a week or so ago. I'm scared to death they're going to get killed out here on the highway. But again, looking at our tower cam, weather's been pretty good here lately. We had some really nasty cold weather. Rained a little bit this morning, but the weather is going to shape up nicely. For parents of school children, I know all of you know this, but everybody else may not. Parent-teacher conferences tomorrow. Today was the last day of school for students. Parent-teacher conferences tomorrow. Got the President's Day holiday on Friday and Monday, so there will be no school on Friday or Monday. My wife is very happy about that. And she was actually making a list of places we could go this weekend. And unfortunately, our budget does not allow it. Don't forget Valentine's Day, Saturday, February 14th. Do the Valentine's Day stuff, men. It's not for us. Never has been, never will be. Doesn't matter for us. Take care of your wife, girlfriend. Hopefully you don't have a wife and a girlfriend. If you do, it's a real expensive holiday. But anyway, those are our top stories for this evening. Again, we plan to be here at least one more time this week, unless there's breaking news. It's been pretty quiet here lately. Maybe it'll stay that way and we can get through a long weekend. It always makes me nervous when kids are out of school. Kids are out of school, that's when things can happen. So please, everybody, be careful. Be a little more diligent and be mindful of the fact that we're going to have kids out on the roads when they are typically in school. Everybody be careful and have a wonderful rest of the week. We'll see you in a day or two.